Ranger helmet is going to be so big that here's a commission that I'm making for somebody here. Regular size, same size as mine down there. And I think this commission can wear the Black Ranger. That's how big this thing is. This might be my biggest helmet that I've made, but I really wanted to make something big and flashy, and I thought to myself, what better helmet to do than the Black Ranger? Because, I mean, just that jet black look, the white outlining and stuff, this thing's gonna look amazing. That filament only costs like $13. Just a really good high gloss filament. So I'm taking this and I couldn't get the supports all the way off here on the bottom, so I'm basically just sculpting this out, and the heat kind of melts the plastic down, and you can kind of smooth it out and around. Back is currently printing, and what I'm going to be doing right now while the back prints is I'm going to come in here and fill up some of these holes here. It's a little bit of an indentation right there, and I've got a spot here, and I'll probably put some of this putty along here. For things like this, I like to use hard Bondo putty, or not putty, but a hard Bondo, not the Bondo putty. Typically I just use Bondo putty for smoothing stuff out, but I'm not going to need to do that very much on here because all this is pretty sandable. But I just need to get this putty in the spots that are just a little big, probably a little bit more noticeable spots, like that little area there. Probably get this mouthpiece a lot, just because this mouthpiece is really important. And then kind of probably put some along this line here, because I really want to make sure that each one of these little spots is smoothed over and you don't see any type of a line, because even filling it, I can feel where that line is on each one. So that's, if I can feel it, that's going to show up in the paint. So this side's a little higher than this, just a tad bit, just enough to where if you put a gloss paint on it and the shine goes through, the shine's gonna go like this right there, and you're gonna see that. It's sanded really good. You can see that I've already ran sandpaper over it. I ran a 130 grit sandpaper over it. I probably won't get much under here because filler primer will fill that in enough. But I think on this one I'm actually going to drill holes up here to make it a little bit more breathable. So I'll show you a tad bit of this, kind of what I do. Just got a little bit of Bondo here, and I put it into another plate. And I just got a bunch of these forks. I like using the forks more than the spoons. You would think the spoons or the knives would be better, but I actually like the way that this mixes as a fork. So just kind of come in and all in there good. I'm going to just do really, really small bits of it like this, because it's not going to take very much at all. These forks, for some reason, I think get it a little bit more mixed together. You can just take some, and I'm just going to use my fingers for the most part. And that I might have actually mixed up too much there, because this is a fast drawing, really fast drawing Bondo, and it's going to take a little bit of delicacy to get this on here good. So I'm going to have to take my time with some of these spots here. Especially since I'm doing this, because I'm doing this one-handed. Take a little bit more time, but also because I'm doing this part one-handed, I'm only going to show you a little bit of this part. So that's kind of just how I apply it, and I'm going to show you guys. This just dries too quick for me to be doing it like this, so I'll show you guys what this looks like whenever I get done. It's basically all I'm doing, putting it on a finger and putting it down in there. I try to push it into the plastic, or else a lot of the times, because of the filament lines, it'll get air trapped underneath it and it'll cause bubbles. So I'll show you when it's done. This is what it looks like after. You can see where I put most of the Bondo. I went ahead and sanded it with 130 and then 220. Most of the places I touched was here, and here, and there. And then this seems pretty smooth now. I can't really feel it. There's a few spots like here I can feel it. It's pretty smooth. There's a spot here where it broke. And you remember that hole, that group of holes here? Feels really good now. Comparatively, feels about the same. So I put a little bit of filler primer on this and sanded it down like crazy. But I also went in here and did the half and half thing to get a good seam, a better seam. And I don't have a hinge or any magnets in this holding it together right now, so I can't really show you how good it actually is because it keeps slipping. But it's actually really good. This keeps slipping down because it's so big. It's heavy. This thing is huge. I'm going to primer filler this when it dries a little bit more. Probably tomorrow morning. And you guys will see it all gray. And we'll start sanding it and probably start painting it black this weekend. I'm skipping forward for a bit, so I'm trying hard not to show you guys anything. I thought I had hit record when I did this, but I didn't. I put that big, you know, I made that video of these latches that I make, that I kind of invented and came up with on Tinkercad, and I didn't think I'd have use for the big one. I remember saying on there I probably won't even use the big one. I just wanted to use it for a visual because it was huge. And since I'm making this gigantic helmet, I figured it'd just be perfect to put in here. But I did make the mistake of, you can see where the latch is here and how far apart the latch is from the side, so it kind of just goes outwards. But this thing's so big it goes outwards enough to put on my head, or probably anybody's head, to be honest with you. With the water weld, I didn't get the magnets up here. You can see that gap right there. Putting magnets up here just closes that gap. I got the magnets at the bottom. They're all in. And alright, we'll get back to where we were. So we're going to have to stick these magnets way down here at the bottom, because you can see where that inner thing goes that guides the two halves together. Just leaves us just enough space. Let's see what a couple magnets in there looks like. How close we get. There's a magnet on one side. You can see a magnet from the other side. Right there at the bottom. Not a whole lot of room. So it's all gnarly. I was gonna show you the whole process, but since I'm not doing it like usual, I usually put tape. As you can see, there's tape in here, tape from one side to the next, that way the magnets match up on each side. But since there's only a tiny little room, I didn't need to put it all the way across. And one side got messy and tore, but I had to put the tape in past that little lip guide thing, because I tried to just put it down to it, but there's so little space that whenever I was pushing the water weld down, it actually went from the other side and touched it, and that would have sealed it shut forever. or else I'd have to like break it open or something. So I had to crack this open and scoot it down a little bit more. So now the tape goes in and then around that spot. So it's going to look really weird when I take this off, but this should work fine. So basically what you do is you just put tape in. On the sticky side you put one magnet. I usually use these tiny little magnets here, and I double them up. You can see that there's 4 here. So I'd put the tape right there in the middle. So you put one on the sticky side, like these 2 would be on the sticky side, and they would just stick there, and then this automatically sticks to the other side. So then they're both sitting on the tape perfectly, and then you can kind of just push it back up against the wall on the inside, right up against there, and then you just load around it with the JB Water Weld. Distribute it out. I try to pull a little bit this way, get as much distributed out, and push it down into the filament as much as you can. This is sandable, so it doesn't matter. Like I got some up here on the lip, you can see it sands down with the Dremel very, very easily, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to shape everything once I get done. But all I really want is the magnet attached on one side and the magnet attached on the other. And also what I did was, while I was pushing it together, the tape caused it, since the tape has to go like this, it caused it to kind of gap a little here. I took this little tape and I wrapped it around as tight as I could. That way I forced these as closed as possible. Because believe me, you don't want to put these together and have a gap there. That gap will stay there once it hardens. Did it on both sides. Just make sure that the 2 sides are as tightly together as you can possibly get them. That way now, every time the helmet shuts, it's going to be that tight. Alright, this is a black filler primer. I'm just going to do 1 coat. You can already see some spots that need sanded, but I'm going to do like 1 coat, and then we'll take it in after it dries and wet sand it, and then we'll do another coat, and we'll kind of keep doing that until we get a nice, good, solid black coat and no more spots that need sanded. So black is such a beautiful color when it first goes on. It really is. So this first one I'm probably going to put on a little thick, because I'm using it more as a primer, because I did go back and do a lot of Bondo. So the paint's going to kind of apply to the Bondo different than the spots that have primer paint on it. Stuff here. 24 hours to really cure all the way, but you can wet sand it in about 6 hours, and then let it dry for another 3 or 4, and then kind of go back, sand it a little bit more. So this is after that first layer of black. I sanded it down. Not a whole lot of spots that need sanding. I'm going to put 1 more coat of this half primer, half black paint. I thought I got all these sanded out, but I didn't. Let's sand it out, maybe enough. That part looks great. This is what I like to do, is just kind of, after I sand it, kind of go over it. You can see the sandpaper marks, because I didn't go. I was at 180, then I went to 220, and then I think I took a 300 grit. I didn't really go that far down, so you're still obviously going to see these marks, but they're not deep enough. The sandpaper marks are not deep enough that a couple coats won't cover that. I'm going to attempt to paint this before you can see the trees moving. Well, no, it's too dark out here. Before there is a storm coming in. I'm going to paint this and get this inside, so it's super windy right now. But I can't do this on my porch because of the bugs that are up flying around my light. So I'm gonna just try to going to be the quickest paint job of all time. That's okay though, it's just going to be sanded. There's tiny little bugs getting caught in it, damn it. This has to be sand no matter what. This wind is not helping. Too much wind, it's not only just throwing stuff on here, but then the bugs that are attracted to my light, you can see they're all kind of gathering on this damn thing. Let's just kind of try to build up some areas. That should be good, to be honest with you. Sand this down one more time and then tomorrow I should be able to put the final coat on there. So had these bugs not flown on here, this could have probably been the final coat. But that's alright. It'll be just fine. Those things will come right off when you sand. There we go. Let's go in before it rains. It's about to open up. Yeah, there's a little bit better look at it. And you can see how I said earlier, it's got the magnets down here, so it's pulling it together, but it doesn't have any up here, so it just kind of, you know, so it's a really good idea to have magnets up here next to the hinge. But that looks real good. And it's looking a lot better. Man. I was going to put those magnets in the top to get that to kind of close more, but I think during this painting process this is actually better because I can get the black down in here, you know what I mean. I think it's going to be better this way, and then I'll do the magnets later on tonight when we start the actual paint job. So I'm outside again. It's not nighttime, so there shouldn't be as many bugs. I do see a few little bugs flying around. So I'm going to hurry up and get this painted and get this thing moved inside. Get that fly. Damn black fly. It's stuck on there. These black flies are always everywhere. On this part I'm doing the visor, and I usually don't do it this early, but there's specific reasons I'll get to here in a bit of why I'm doing it this early. I just stick the piece of paper in it and go around a piece of paper with a marker, any type of marker. I just used a silver Sharpie and traced out the design from the inside. And usually what I do is just retrace this around about 2 inches wider, and then an inch wider or 2 inches wider, and you basically get a perfect visor for the inside. But I'm actually not going to do that here. I end up sticking the acrylic that I got, and you'll see a picture right here. I got some acrylic from a picture frame. I just stick the clear acrylic right on top of it, and I'll just trace around this the 2 inches more with the same marker. And I'm actually tracing it on the side with the plastic covering, because this acrylic has a plastic covering over the top of it. That way, you know, it keeps it safe and it keeps it from getting scratched up and stuff. So you can see me, I'm kind of like deciding where an inch or 2 inches is. I don't really measure it, it's just kind of a guess. When you've been doing this for a while, you can basically tell. And so this is me just kind of tracing it out and around. I end up actually messing up because you can look down at the bottom where that acrylic ends, and it ends right on the line. And I don't want it to end right on the line, so I actually end up stopping, see it, and I'm like, oh, we can't do this. We can't have it right here. So I just flip it around and use the other side of this. And it's really, there's kind of a, from cutting out previous visors on the sides, you can see that cutout on the side, how the corner kind of peeks out from the side there. I actually decided that I needed to stick it right in the middle. I try to use an edge all the time because most visors, the bottom part or the top part has a straight line and the other part is rounded. So by using a straight edge, you can usually get a perfect bottom or top part of the visor, and then you just kind of have to cut the top part, and it saves on cutting. So I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but I kind of just trace around this fully instead of going into all the detail and stuff like that because I decided to do something different. And this is the whole reason why I'm doing the visor right now instead of later. I just stick it right there in the middle, trace around it, a fairly easy looking visor here. And then the next thing that you want to do with this acrylic is all you want to do is tin it. Take an X-Acto knife, a razor, something, you know, a hobby knife, whatever you want to call it, and just go in, push hard, and try to go just basically as deep as you can, but you don't have to really go that deep. You're just tinning it. So about, you know, a quarter of the way through is perfectly fine. Sometimes I like to go over it once and then take my X-Acto knife and go, you know, right back over where I just went and not push down nearly as hard, but just kind of go back through it just to make sure that I've got a clean tint going on. So that's what you're seeing me do now. I'm just following that marker line and pushing down as hard as I can, trying to do it one-handed. One hand on the camera, one hand on that, and I'm trying to steady the acrylic on the other side with my palm. So I got to the edge here and I couldn't steady the acrylic anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and skip by to kind of the end of this, and I'm just going to tell you my camera ended up dying, so I apologize about that. I hope I have some footage down here at the end, but in case I don't, I'm just going to tell you right now. All you have to do is, after you tin it, you take it and you apply pressure. You don't try to break it in half. You just put one finger on one side of the line. I usually take my index finger from one hand on one side of the line and my thumb on the other, and I just kind of put some pressure on it with my index finger from my other hand that has the thumb pushing up on the line from the bottom, and you just kind of pressure and you can hear it snap. Pressure, snap, pressure, snap. And it's just slow, and you go all the way around, and you won't have any mishaps, any mistaken breaks or anything like that. It will break right along the tint. If you get overzealous with it and you start just trying to manhandle it and start cracking it, you know, just really fast trying to crack it, it will start splitting and breaking and going in big huge splinters and stuff. Don't try to take scissors to this. If you take scissors to it, it will like spider web split out and stuff. It sucks. But that's kind of how you do it. And then I basically went through and I put tint on the top of it. Any regular car tint is what I used. You just soap and water the plastic, and then you put the tint over the top, and I just took a regular credit card and got all the bubbles out and stuck it in. Now the reason I put this in here is because the horns on each side and then the trunk here in the middle actually touch the visor. And I realized when kind of messing around, I made a visor for another Power Rangers helmet, and when I was doing the paper part of the visor, I realized that if I put the visor in, the trunk and the horns are not going to touch the visor at all, and it's going to leave quite a big gap. And so what I wanted to do is I sanded this all down, and if you have a finished paint on it, like a regular paint, some paints crack if you do any heat forming or anything like that. Some get real sticky and come off on your finger or something. So I just sanded it all down. I took the hair dryer, and first I did the trunk, just kind of go up and down on it for a little while, just till it gets malleable, a little pliable. And then I pushed that as close to the visor as I could. And it wasn't that far off, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. Then I went back and forth on the horns, and you can see right there on the top, that's where my finger was pushing it in, and right there. So this is the type of paint, and this is going to be the paint that I use for the finish. This is the type of paint that would come off on your finger, and so I didn't want to get a finished paint going and then suddenly have to do that and then have to start repainting stuff. So I went ahead and put the visor in now, and got those right up against it. You can see that, and these horns were actually quite a good distance away. I was going to take a picture of it and show you guys, but my memory was full, so I went ahead and just did it, and it looks really good now. It looks a lot more. You can go ahead and do it the other way, but this is a little bit more streamlined. Didn't want to do it, but kind of had to. You know, you have to have it in place exactly how you're going to do it in order to heat form to it. Because I could have just put it up there with tape, heat form to it, and then took it out and then put it back in, and forgot or this or that, and then got it wrong. So this is kind of a decision that I made, and this is the first time I've ever put the visor in this early. It's just kind of a decision I made, kind of have to stick with it. So we got it bagged and taped up and ready for silver, but a little bit of a problem. You can see right here and right up here, when I started taping it, I noticed that it felt a tad tacky, but I have painted tackier and it was just fine. It's been a day since I painted it, but the problem is the filament does attract water. It does take in water, and so anytime that I've deep cleaned it, sometimes there will be a hole or something on the inside or something that just retains the water, and you have to turn it just right to get all the water drained out. And while I had it upside down, that probably came out of I think I suspect where it is. The back piece has a few thousand little holes in it, so that could be why it's tacky. It's just because the filament that the paint is sticking to is still currently wet. So this may be all for naught, but I'm still going to paint it. So I've got a few spots, like here, here, and here. So I'll let this dry for about, this aluminum stuff that I got. It's an acrylic enamel, so not going to wet sand it or else the water will start pulling all that up. So I think I'm going to come in here and just kind of take a light sanding. The thing about the aluminum is if you sand the aluminum, it will turn it gray. It will no longer be shiny. So what you've got to do with this, if you take a high grit sandpaper and you sand it in the spot you want to sand it, and then you have to take a high fiber rag and get all that out of there as possible, because you can't really clean it. Or you can take an alcohol, one of those alcohol wipes, and alcohol wipe it, and then you let it dry and repaint it. There it is. About to take the tape off, but it might be a bit too early. And like I said, because the paint was wet, I'm going to take this outer one off. It's probably going to be paint residue. This green tape's really good with not leaving any residue behind. What you do is you don't take it and pull it out this way. Pull it back. Just like that. That is what it looks like with the tape off. So we got a few little spots. One here that I need to touch up. Right there where paint got through. And one under here. Other than that, that's pretty good looking. It's a little off here, but I planned on going in here with a paintbrush and some black paint and just basically putting it into that edge. So I just wanted to get basically this. That'll be easy to touch up. I didn't do a very good tape job on this, but I taped it up with some tape and a little bit of paper, just some scrap paper. And I'm doing this like the old school one because the ones that I've seen online, like the Anarchy cosplay ones and stuff, that a lot of people like to do, that have the white, like, all outlining this up here and this. I just think it's too much white. I really do. I think the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers had it correct when they did it the first time. And you don't want to overdo it. This doesn't look that good. That side looks really good. I'm going to peel the rest of these off because it's real hard to do with one hand. And then I'm sure that I'll have some white touch-ups and some black touch-ups to do. So, alright, so I got the white lines on, and the white going all the way around the visor. I went ahead and put the original visor cutout, you know, that I got the visor from, inside of here because it would fit, and replaced that other one because it had paint and stuff all over it. And I put a gold inside of here. So now what I'm going to go through is any of this spray back. I'm going to, you know, clean it off as much as I can. And I'm at a point where I want to put a clear coat on here just to kind of see where I'm at. So I've been going through here and adding a little black here and there on touch-ups, but you can see this big spot here. It's from Splashback. And a bunch of little tiny spots. You can see my touch-ups through the light because it didn't shine the same as this black, but once the gloss coat gets put on here, that'll all blend together. So I'm going to get some over here, and then I'm going to polish it up now. And then I'll probably put a clear coat on first and then touch that up because I just want to see what it looks like just with the clear coat on. I'm going to be using this acrylic gloss clear lacquer. This is my favorite gloss coating. It's amazing. And if you're gloss coating anything, I'd suggest you do this. Even if you got finger smudges and stuff on it, it's acrylic so it doesn't raise sections of it like other clear coats. So you don't have to polish it as hard. I mean, you still need to get the oils and stuff from your hands and stuff because it still will raise small little tiny sections, but it won't spiderweb huge sections like other clear coats do. I just want to show you the difference a good polishing could make. This is before the clear coat. Most of those spots, that's like a black touch up there and a black touch up, so it's obviously going to be a different color, but this spot's gone. Most of this over here is gone. So just the difference that it makes in the color, just a quick polish. And it's not even a hard polish, it's not even with polishing tools. One of these and hit those spots with the white on it. A little damp, not wet, just a little damp. And then a shirt that was a little damp to kind of go over it. And then a dry part of the shirt, just kind of wiped it pretty hard. And that's the difference that it made, just in a easy, quick polish. And so just imagine what a difference a clear coat's going to make. Good thing you don't have to imagine, because you can see it right now. So there she is. Finished for now, I think, because I want to keep it as original Power Ranger as possible, instead of going all Anarchy on it and stuff. Aniki, whatever his name is. He started the whole lines on the mouth, which you guys can see. In my Blue Ranger, I do have the lines on the mouth, but on the Red Ranger, I don't. I think I just have it around the outside there, yeah. Just to give it a little bit of definition, but I don't have the lines on the top because I wanted to keep that one original as well. I just think it looks better without so many lines. This one looks better. I had it at first without these black lines in it, and it just looks better with the black lines in it on top. But I think I'm going to redo this helmet because I need to do a new visor anyways. You can see just how flimsy that visor is. It's hard to clean up and you can't really see out of it. So I'm going to do it like this one, which is my latest commission helmet, which has the lines on top and on the mouth, but hard visor. So that one looks really good. Probably my best Power Ranger I've ever made, right here. So, with this one, at least for now, I'm going to keep no lines up here, no lines up there, just the original Black Ranger, and I'll put the picture right here so you guys can see what the original Black Ranger looks like. And this thing is huge. There's a few touch-ups I still want to do, especially like there's a spot here, some other spots, you know, a few touch-ups. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. I need to touch up the eyes. I brush painted these in here. Just a gold. I think it looks fairly good. So, you get real close to this black and it looks great. You get away and it's black. It's a really good looking helmet. I don't know if it'll fit on my shelf though, because you could see in the picture right here just how much bigger this one is than my Blue Ranger. And let me show you this. I'm going to show you my biggest helmet that I've made. It's absolutely size-wise the biggest helmet made. This size-wise is the biggest helmet. And it still kind of morphs it. I mean it's huge. Size-wise, it's huge. I mean, this one is just tall. When you look at it dead on, look how wide that one is compared to that other one. And it's crazy. If anybody wants to commission this, and the reason I kind of made this first, I was going to make, my son wants a Green Ranger and a White Ranger, the original Mighty Morphin. And I was going to make one of those ones first, but the reason I made this one first is because somebody sent me a message on Instagram saying that they were interested in having a commission from me of the Black Ranger. And so I like to do one for myself first, just to kind of see what I need to do, how I need to get it done, you know, kind of how the visor goes in and all that stuff, and kind of how I want to paint it, you know, the techniques that I need to use for it. And so now that I got a Black Ranger done, I can offer that one as a commission if somebody wants a commission of the Black Ranger. And I can do the white stripes on the top and stuff. It just doesn't look as elegant. It really doesn't. And I can do the stripes in the mouth and all that different stuff. But like I said, the original is just the best. I think the more streamlined, the better. And the original is just streamlined. So it'd be up to somebody who wants to commission it, but that would be the helmet that you're going to commission if you do. It'll be a little bit better because there's a few spots that I am going to end up fixing. But I like to do one just so I can see that and I don't have to struggle with a commission. A commission will just go together like my Blue Ranger did. Since I've already done a Blue Ranger, the Blue Ranger that I just made went together really fast. I gave him a 2-month turnaround and it's only been a month and it's already done. I just got to put the padding on the inside and ship it out to him. So, and then my Google check comes in, so the guy who won this finally gets this. It's been a long time. It's just been sitting here made, and he's been excited to get it. And I've been waiting because I don't want to do a giveaway from my own cash. So all the stuff in the giveaway here, all the filament and all the products and stuff were bought with my last Google check, and kind of ran out of it. So I'm shipping this with the new Google check. That way it keeps it all within YouTube, and I don't have to spend my own money. So you're still getting it for free. If you're getting a free helmet, you can wait a few months. So anyways, my name is Bryce Michael RC. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this build, and the print review will be coming soon. This is not a free print from Thingiverse like a lot of my print reviews. This is a $12.50 print from Etsy, which I will leave the link in the description in the print review so you guys can get this. And we'll be doing that probably this weekend. I'll be doing a print review of this. A quick update print review of the commission. I've already done a Blue Ranger helmet print review, but I will be doing an update one after doing the commission because there's a few things that I did differently. So I'm not going to do a build video. I'm just going to do a review just to kind of show you a few of the things that I did differently. And then we've got the Fortnite Drift mask right there that we still have to do a print review of, and that's a free one from my mini factory. So got a few things that we've still got to make videos of that we'll be doing by this weekend. So I'll let you guys see this. It's a pretty in-depth make it video, process video, and then we'll show you the print reviews by this weekend. So hit that subscribe button. My name is Bryce Michael RC. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.